Back in December of 2022, Real Madrid splashed the cash on one of football's next biggest things. They signed Brazilian Endrick from Palmeiras for a fee that could rise to £60 million for a kid at just the age of 16. 2 years later, and before he's even had a chance to kick a ball though for Real Madrid, and the hate that he's receiving over on social media is growing and growing. And I thought to myself, why? Why does everyone seem to hate this child? How exactly did Endrick become one of the most disliked wonder kids in the world? And is it even fair? You know what ain't fair? This heat in the UK. 3rd year in a row, it's got to the hottest day of the year and the aircon disappeared and did not bring the milk home. The whole unit has done its best Erling Haaland in a big game impression and has gone and disappeared. So there's a fan in the background. Yeah, listen, it's like 34 degrees in my flat right now. Deal with it. And it's the only fan I have. Thanks, G. I've just switched it off. And another man that doesn't seem to have too many fans at the moment is the youngster that I introduced at the start of this video. That's Endrick. Now, he is a phenomenon, all right, in terms of his come up, really, in the world of football. You know, we've had young wonder kids. We've got another one right now. Lamine Yamal has just won Euro 2024 with Spain, and a crucial part to play in it is playing week in, week out for Barcelona. And it already looks like he's going to have a rival for, like, the next 2 decades in the form of Endrick. He broke through into Palmeiras' like under 23 side at the age of like 14. The kid featured in FTW for scoring a bicycle kick or something at the age of 15, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's been on everyone's radar for like a long time. To say that he's so young still. And the kid does not have one shit photo on his camera roll. Not a single one. There's no screenshots on this guy's phone. Every single Insta picture is some sort of iconic scene that looks like it was taken from a documentary about Pele in 1964. It's all over the place. All over his social media. Like, FT call it aura. Personally, I think that should just get you put in prison. I'm starting to think if I slapped my knee through a black and white filter off of Instagram, it might be fixed forever. Even his bad games, just slap it through like a New York filter or something, or whatever it's called. That's a sofa score 10 out of 10 performance. It's really iconic already for his age to say that he ain't even played in La Liga yet. This is just like youth level football pictures, like the odd Brazilian caller. If I had a picture as a sports person, like the one where he's being lifted up into the air by Brazilian fans after like a youth tournament win, I'd retire there and then. It ain't getting better than that. I'm leaving the whole sport, the whole franchise with whatever is in my bank account that day. Probably £4.50 at a maximum. Truthfully, the storylines have been a little bit too perfect at times. The guy's doing up a Brazilian version of The Journey. It's a little bit spooky now. He's already got 75% game completion for the video game that is football. I'm talking a lot of achievements. The guy is speed running it. Let's just calm it down, okay? Why is he scoring on his international debut for Brazil against England at Wembley? And after the game, he's saying that he's glad that he scored there because he was inspired by Bobby Moore. See, now you're ruining it, brother. You're 12. You don't... I wouldn't even be mad if you didn't know who Bobby Moore was. Had his dad even been born when Bobby Moore was winning the World Cup? That's a stupid question. No. His dad's probably like 35, bruv. If his dad went to university tomorrow, nobody would even care. People would just assume that he'd grown a beard really quickly in school or something. This is the level of youth we're talking about. You're not inspired by Bobby Moore. That's okay. And I think this is what a lot of people have latched onto in terms of what I would like to call Endrickisms. He said that his parents almost named him Di Stefano after the great Spanish striker that played for Real Madrid upon signing for the club a couple of years ago. But as I said, it's something that people have like latched onto and they just think that he's a criminal liar now. The LeBron James of soccer.
That's my favorite saying.
This idea that Real Madrid is so ingrained in his DNA from like destiny. It was bound to be that he would play for Real Madrid because his dad almost called him Jonathan Woodgate or something back in like 2005. He used to collect Panini stickers of just Fernando Morientes. He's done an Ancestry.com research session and found out that he shares 47% of his DNA with Jose Callejon. This guy is Real Madrid through and through. Real Madrid Thank you. Real Madrid tweeted last year that it had been 45 years since the passing of their iconic goalkeeper Ricardo Zamora, and I know Endrick in an interview next season will say that he hopes he can play with him one day. Endrick, listen, it's alright, brother. Your era was FIFA 17, bro. Your introduction into Van Basten should be Ultimate Team. That's okay. Get back from school, aged 8, you randomly packed Stoichkov, and then cool. Bob's your uncle. You've unlocked that piece of your brain there and then. He apparently won a competition competition that Real Madrid put on back in Brazil when he was 9 years old to be able to travel to Spain and the Bernabeu. I don't know if I believe that. They might have photoshopped that back in the day. I say back in the day, it was about 3 years ago. They could have edited that on an iPhone 13. But the thing is, for me, I find this just funny. I don't think it's particularly, like, harmful, really. Like, sure, maybe he's lying. We've seen LeBron do this for years now. Like, lie totally unnecessarily and unprovoked. And it's just made into a meme, really. I just feel like it should be the same with Endrick. You know, he's doing his Real Madrid presentation and he's tearful and he's crying. That's understandable, man. The guy's, like, worth 60 million euros at the age of 16. It's been 2 years in the making. He's obviously 18 now, but, like, let him be emotional. He might be doing all this crying just to go out on loan to, like, Real Valladolid or something next season, but he's still allowed to be emotional. And that or someone had told him that Butragueño wasn't actually in the Real Madrid team anymore. I just saw so much in the way of responses and, like, hateful comments in regards to him being emotional, crying and stuff. Like, his dad's out there in the crowd. Like, his family have watched him grow up, work hard, play unbelievably in Brazil, and realize what is clearly a dream. I mean, the guy did win a contest to go to Real Madrid when he was like 9, and this is quite literally his dream coming true, and he hasn't even completed DFE. Some of his highlights from Brazil are absolutely insane. The guy is clearly special, and even in training in his first few sessions, he got absolutely clamped by Rudiger. That did happen. But also his link-up play with fellow Real Madrid youngster Arda Güler, who was also, you know, who was impressive at the Euros this summer, looks really, really good. I think he's gonna be a top player at some point, but in fairness, we should probably temper our expectations. You know, that Real Madrid starting 11 is absolutely stacked everywhere. The kid's not even allowed a provisional license probably yet, so it's gonna take time. Lamine Yamal, different story. He was forced into that Barca squad. He had to turn up. Barcelona are late on their tax returns. They have no real other alternative. He's come in, been amazing, and he is easily the future of football, one of the futures of football. But Endrick has got, what, Vinny, Rodrigo, and Mbappe ahead of him. That's the best attack force in the entire world. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people see him as like a bit of a PR robot, but he's human as well. You know, going over and jokingly tapping the head of his brother or something before he went onto the stage, who's 4, by the way. What the fuck are we doing here? How are you a professional footballer playing for Real Madrid and your brother hasn't even made it to nursery yet? Nah, what has happened to the game that I love?
The game's gone.
I mentioned Yamal, we gotta let him have this one, you know, after the revelations about his girlfriend this week. Meanwhile, for Endrick, and he always hoped that he would date Marilyn Monroe one day. To be fair, I remember reading a story about Endrick and his girlfriend having like a contract or something. I don't know what they're cooking over in Brazil, to be honest with you. Maybe he is a calculated PR machine, man. The guy's got a 20% sell-on fee on his own girl, I don't know. He's paying for date nights in installments, and then bonuses and tips based on how many goals he scores in the league. Yeah, it's game over. I mentioned PR there. That is the critical thing. I keep seeing the term PR merchants and whatever on Twitter in regards to someone like Jude Bellingham as well, who gets a lot of this criticism too. The thing is, I understand, right? I think fans, especially with the use of social media, have been able to critically think their way through PR statements and very safe footballers a lot more over like the last 10 years. Because like all you would get is press conferences back in the day or interviews on TV. It was very easy for a footballer to be media trained and that just to be kind of a blanket of how it is for every footballer, if that makes sense. Whereas nowadays with social media, people can like let go a little bit more and kind of have a little bit more of like a character online. At least tweet funny things every now and again. Whereas Endrick does seem very sterile, and Jude Bellingham can be as well. The things that he does out on the pitch sometimes seem a little bit PR trained, but I think he's more just a natural leader. He is an example of a PR merchant though, probably. He's probably got 8 like separate departments for PR. He has his own human resources department. It's an office environment. I don't mind that type of player. I do probably prefer a player to have a bit more personality, but then you can't really win because a lot of the old guard football fans and certain people on Twitter then hate it when a player has a bit of personality or a little bit of self-confidence, which is also an example of why Jude Bellingham gets hate as well. He is given serious industry plant energy, I understand. But at the end of the day, lads, he might just be a massive fucking football nerd. Like, yeah, he's 18, and I wasn't particularly like that when I was 18. I didn't have my head screwed on that much. When I was 18, I was going to uni, drinking copious amounts of Jaeger bombs, rather than learning who played right back for Real Madrid in 1962. I wasn't doing that. But some footballers are nerds. Some footballers just love the game. Like, have you ever listened to Jamie Carragher? The guy can recite full 90 minutes from like 2002. There are some footballers that are just like that. Their just life is football. Even like what they consume, what they enjoy listening to, what they enjoy learning about and finding out about is just football. If Endrick and Ben White met in a room tomorrow, they would not be able to string a conversation together. Endrick would want to talk about Thomas Gravesen, and I don't think Ben White even knows who that is. And also, at the end of the day, he's like a young footballer that's gonna be sick. Already played, I think, almost 100 games combined for club and country at this point in his career, which is absolutely wild, considering that he's only just turned 18. Like, that is fucking insane. I know that's always the way with Brazilian youngsters. They get kind of thrown right into the deep end. They end up getting injured a lot, and then they end up having shorter careers because they've been playing 50 games a season since they were like in year 11. But he scored 30 goals in his career already. Very versatile, can play all across the front three. He's a baller as well. There's a lot to like. You know, he's very skillful. He's very intelligent. He's got that pace. He's got actual finishing capabilities as well. An intelligent dribbler, not all of the time, in fairness. And he's not always class either, you know. I think Lamine Yamal is like the benchmark almost at this point, given the consistency of his performances and doing it on the big stage. You know, whilst Yamal was slapping it at Euro 2024, Endrick had a pretty stinky Copa America, I'm not gonna lie. He had that game against Uruguay where he completed one pass and it was from kickoff. And in all the other games, he wasn't that great either, but the Brazil squad isn't that good, to be honest with you. I don't know, I just think we've got a potential wonder kid, like world beater with the world at his feet. He's not Neymar. He's not like as exciting and skillful as a player like that. But you've got a player here who could actually be unbelievable in the future, all right? Let's just celebrate it, man. We're going to have this guy versus Yamal for like the next decade and a half, potentially in El Clasico, with Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Gavi, and people like that just thrown into the mix as well. I feel like everyone's got so depressive about football in the last 5 years, collectively, whether it be a Jude Bellingham or whether it be Endrick. I get it. If you think he's lying about almost being called Guti at one point, then fairs. He probably is lying, I'm not gonna lie. But let's just at least take it for face value that he's gonna be a good footballer and hope that he can do the talking out on the pitch instead of in press conferences. Maybe just stop interviewing him, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe we just gotta do that now. But yeah, what do you make of it? Will Endrick be a success at Real Madrid? How long is it gonna take? Will he break into the first team immediately? Or are we gonna see him go out on loan? Are we gonna see him struggle potentially as well? Drop it down in the comments section below. But I hope you have enjoyed today's video. In conclusion, I think the hate's unjustified. You know, I get people not enjoying PR machines, but I think we should go a little bit easier on the kid. You know, he's still young, and you never know, he may just not ever leave his house. On that note, I'm gonna open the windows again in this room. I'm gonna fry or bake and or oven grill to death. But if you have enjoyed today's video and my heat exhaustion, then feel free to slap a like on the video and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.